Realities of being a preacher's kid. Anything you do may end up in a sermon.
Hearing my father as a preacher scaring off potential love interests.
Free and at times unwilling counseling advice.
Being voluntold to help at church activities.
Always being the backup when someone doesn't show up.
People thinking your dad only works on Sunday.
Having the most hardworking and selfless parents. Growing up at Avondale has taught me to look outside of myself and be of service of others, feel a sense of belonging and community, and has grounded my faith in God.
There's a common proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Avondale's congregation has been my village. As a kid, they taught me the difference between rights and wrongs. As a teen, they enabled me to travel the world, going on work camps and youth conferences, growing spiritually and helping others. As an adult, the congregation has enabled me to find mentors, keep in touch with friends, and give back to my community. It takes a village to raise a child, and I can think of no better village to grow up in than Avondale's.
Thank you, Avondale.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
I can't believe I'm saying goodbye to John and Nadja, but you're both such hard-working folks. You need a long vacation. John, thank you for allowing me to work with you for 23 years. I've thought for a long time it didn't seem that long, but now I've figured out why. It's because when John's around, there's never a dull moment. Best wishes to the Earl family.
Hey John, Nadja, thank you for the memories. We are wishing you the best in your retirement. Enjoy each day to the fullest. We will miss you. Congratulations again on your retirement. We love you.
John, Nadja, I just want to say thank you. It's been a wonderful 30 years. Your kindness to Jim and to me, and Nadja, your patience with teaching me how to ring bells. I love you both. Wish you much happiness, good health, and speedy life. Thank you.
John, you've been there through all of our highlights and lowlights in the last 30 years. You've buried my parents, you've married my children, you baptized my grandchildren. Thank you for every time that you've been there for us. Congratulations on your retirement. Enjoy yourself. Go to bed when you're tired and get up when you're rested. That's my advice. Thanks.
John and Nadja, thank you so much for serving our church. We joined 17 years ago when Miller was just 4 months old. Bill Stowe welcomed us, and we are so thankful for you baptizing Miller. I don't know if you recall, but she
I slept through it.
Slept through the whole baptism, but it's been a great 17 years with you, and we wish you all the best.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
John, I just wanted to tell you that I've had one of the few unique experiences here at this church with you. I don't know exactly how many, but over roughly 20 years or more, you and I have done weddings together, and I've been serving as wedding director. And that usually involves a rehearsal as well as a actual wedding. And I must say that through 50 or 70 weddings, I've heard the same jokes every time. Good luck, and God bless you, and we love you. Thank you.
What I'm most thankful for Dr. Earl is the person that he is. Being a pastor is not the easiest thing to do, but through the difficulties of pastoral ministry, maintaining that sense of energy and a sense of joy, while often having to do uncomfortable things is truly something that's a testament to him. I will truly miss working with him. He's been a great colleague, a great friend, and a great mentor. And what I'll miss most is actually the sarcasm that goes back and forth between our office doors. And I just hope whoever follows in those footsteps can take it, because I will definitely miss his jokes. One thing that I've come to know about John is how much he loves the ministry. And one thing that I do know that John will always remember is that his call is not finished, that John will still serve the Lord in whatever capacity God has for John and both Nadja to serve. I will truly miss his sarcasm, though I've often been the beneficiary. He's the only person in ministry ever to prank me, and I hope to get him back within the next 30 days, and if not, I still know where he lives. Very thankful for Nadja, for the support. Again, something that most people don't see, but the support that a pastor's spouse gives. Many times a pastor's pastor is their spouse, and so very thankful for her. But I will miss him, and but he'll never be far away. And I look forward to taking with me some of the lessons in the next phase of my ministry that John has taught me to do. So I'm very thankful for him and look forward to what God has next for him.
To the Earl family, you have been a love to this church. You have been a love to me. I appreciate all the blessings you have made upon this church. God bless you and Nadja and your family, and I love you. Thank you.
John and Nadja, you've done so much to help all of us, especially the Stouts. You've married Sarah, married Tom and Marion, and Sarah and John Hall. You buried a couple also with Katie Stout and Eldon Stout, and we've just been so glad that you were with us all the way. And Nadja, you too set such an example of grace and strength in helping all of us, and for all the great teaching and preaching. We thank you.
John B. Earl, more energy than any man deserves to have. I'm amazed at how selfless you are, and I know if there was ever a need, you would always say yes before you considered even what it was or whether it was accomplishable or safe to do. Whether it has something to do with the chainsaw or dragging a car home or helping somebody out in a fix, I always know that I could call on you and much appreciate you as my minister and my friend.
All you nations praise the Lord. All you people on earth praise him. Great is his love for us. The Lord is faithful forever. Praise the Lord.
The Lord is all around his people, both now and forever. My faithful God, answer me when I call out to you. Give me rest from my trouble. Show me your favor. Hear my prayer.
Blessed is the one who obeys the law of the Lord. He doesn't follow the advice of evil people. He doesn't make a habit of doing what the sinners do.
Thank you for loving us and teaching us for 30 years.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Zach, is there anything hanging out of my nose?
No, it's good.
You know, if there's one thing, or at least one special thing I'll always remember about John, it's his sense of humor. I can recall once when I was serving on the session and several Presbyterian churches were meeting over at Myers Park Presbyterian Church. And I asked John for the directions to the place we were supposed to go into. And John gave me the directions to go into the auditorium at Myers Park United Methodist. You probably know those two churches sit right next to each other, look very much alike. Well, I go in there and there's people all over the place, and I'm talking to people, and I'm talking to this one guy, and I'm like, gee, I haven't seen anybody from my church yet. That's kind of unusual. And the guy says, do you have a lot of alcoholics at your church? And I was like, what? And he says, yeah, this is an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I'm convinced to this day that John sent me over there intentionally. And then, of course, there was the time that my child was locked in the car out in the parking lot at Avondale when he was in the daycare center by my mom, his grandmother. And John came out, to the rescue, and he said, don't worry, I've called the police. And my mom said, oh, God, that's so great, they're going to break the window. And John said, no, they're coming to arrest you. And very typical of John, always saying the right thing at the right moment. And don't be confused, Nadja also has a great sense of humor. She married John, didn't she? And, oh, incidentally, real early in the church, I got pulled into the bell choir. Greatest experience I've ever had, by the way. And we went on a bell ringing trip and went out to a discotheque on the first night. And everybody was out there dancing. And I knew Nadja was a wild one when I saw her out there doing the funky chicken. Yeah, baby. No, hey guys, you've been a wonder for 30 years. I'm glad I've been here for 25 of them. I wish we had 30 more. I wish you all the best. Shalom.
What song are we playing? I'm lost. What measure are we on?
What's the count?
Mackenzie wants to know if it's time to go. It's 7 o'clock. I know you turned the clock back.
Have we ever played this before?
Mary.
Is that page 6 that we're on?
Where's 3-4, 2-4?
Wait, I have to mark my music.
Who took my markers?
Just say no, we don't do hymns.
We miss you and we love you.
Someone told me that Linda Adams, when the pulpit committee came to visit you, said, come on to Avondale, there'll be children there, and look at you now. We are so grateful for what all you've done here, and I remember when I first saw John, like the Energizer Bunny running across the campus, and the skills that you both have for several generations. Nadja, for developing the bell choir that is such a joy, and for your own flute music that has been a real pleasure to me. John, for doing all the things that you do and more than most people have time for. We all are so grateful for your skills and your personalities and your sharing your lives with us. And wish you the best in your retirement years and that you get to do and sample all the things that you want. Amen.
John, you baptized me here at Avondale as an adult. And honestly, it was strange. It felt like it took a couple of years for it to really take. This bothered me for a long time. I kept wondering, did John do my baptism right? I was really confused for a long time. I kept thinking, did he say all the right words? Did he use enough water? Was it John's style? Couldn't be John's style. Everybody says he does a great funeral, but he does an awesome baptism. This bothered me for a long time. It really concerned me, and I thought maybe John had focused too much on the 2 babies that were being baptized that day and not enough on me. But then I realized that he made a big deal out of my adult baptism that day after specifically telling me he wasn't going to. Again, for a long time I was really concerned by this, and finally I figured it out. Last week he did another baptism, and John, if you had just picked me up and carried me around the room and introduced me to the rest of the conversation, things would have been much better. In all seriousness, I know you would tell me that it's not the preacher that makes the baptism, but you baptized me here, you baptized my children, and having you do that made it that much more special. John, Nadja, my family owes you a lot. You said this morning that we have the privilege to know God, and I believe that that's true. But I also believe that we were very privileged to know you and Nadja, and our family is better for it, and our faith journeys were enhanced by it. Thank you for everything. We will never forget you.
I would say probably my greatest disappointment in John Earl is his discrimination against adults. I think back to when Andrew Patterson was baptized. John did not carry him around and introduce him. I mean, he should have at least given him a piggyback ride or something of that nature.
So on one of the congregational retreats, when my mom was on the planning team, one of the managers came to our door and told us that some of the furniture in one of the bedrooms, like all of it, was moved to another room, and completely stripped down the first room, completely bare, and because it's a juvenile, immature thing to do, he said that it was the youth from Avondale who did it, and Dr. Earl was walking by, and he backtracked and told the manager, actually, that was me.
Hey John, I want you to think back to your first week's at Avondale when you had that teeny office over there in the old house. And one Thursday night, there was a group of us, including I think the DeArmonds and me and maybe somebody else, who came knocking on your door late after choir practice. And we said, John, you need to go home and show your face to Nadja. Well, I guess now you're retired and you're going to have lots of FaceTime. Have a great one.
Dear Nadja and John, congratulations on your retirement. But I want to send you off with a challenge. Be sure to let us know how long your first retirement will last before you start another job. My retirement was from CMS, and it lasted 4 months. And then Caroline White asked me to do an interim for 4 months in the year 2000. Well, I left there at 2010, and I found the second retirement was certainly longer, or has been longer, than the first. So do let us know. That's my challenge to you, with my love and blessings.
When Ben was 3 and Jay was 5, we were sitting in church, left side of the church as always, sitting in our pew, and right before children's moment, Ben and Jay had a little tiff, a little argument. We don't know what it was about. And then John calls children's moment, and so Jay gets up, walks down and sits down, and Ben was still very, very mad. And we said, are you going to go to children's moment? He said no, and he pursed out his lips, and he was so mad. And then about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through children's moment, he jumps up like everything was resolved, and I was very proud of him, and he walks up to children's moment. He sits down right next to Jay, and he proceeds to punch him in the arm as hard as he can. And I was just like, oh no, he didn't. And John Earl didn't miss a beat. John Earl continued with what he was saying, and he said, just like when our little brothers get mad at us, or when our big brothers get mad at us, God still loves us. He loves all of us. And it was just amazing. It was just typical John. He even incorporated it into the prayer when they all had to hold hands, and Ben grabbed Jay's hand really hard, and John Earl put his hand on Ben's leg and said, even when our little brothers and big brothers get mad at us, we're still loved by God. Typical John.
Hi, John and Nadja, and Mackenzie and JT.
Are they new members?
I think so. Well, they've been around a long time. We've been here almost as long as you guys have, and we remember the first day that we met John, the day that Jed was born, and he was our very first visitor, and Jed's very first visitor.
29 short years ago.
Well, yeah, 29, more than 29. Anyway, thank you for all of the years full of faith and fun, and your family, and all of the music, and all of the joy that you brought to us. And
Well, nobody really warned me that John had a weird sense of humor until one day I did get a phone call, and this nice get up that I've got on right now. John offered to have Jed and I dress up and go to the mother-daughter dinner, and Jed's been scarred by that. He's not here today for that reason, and my hair's gone gray.
so besides that, who else would bring us a pink toilet and put it on our front steps and put flowers in it when they knew we were gone for a week? Or what about that?
We still have that.
We do, and well, we're using it now.
He has a footstool.
We are West Virginians.
And it'll come back.
And what about that picture of that nice woman that got passed around from time to time?
Well, that was Nadja with a little photoshopping.
I don't know. We never knew what happened to that.
Well, I think John's got it somewhere.
And listen,
of course, it was on the ceiling in his bedroom, but
yeah. But we want to say, thank you for how much you guys have changed our lives. We're thankful that at least for us, for 3 generations, you've been there for all of the big events of our lives, from the day Jed was born to the day Jed was baptized on his 3rd birthday, to Joy and John's wedding, to Hannah and Jed's wedding, and then to today with the baptism of John and Olivia. So we love you guys. We know that we will have a lifelong friendship, and we're excited to see what the next chapter of your lives bring.
And if we do need to know where the matching number for the 1972 Pacer engine and body are, we can call John. And lastly, John, the most important thing I can say about this and the celebration for you is, I'll see you tomorrow.
John and Nadja, Jim and I are grateful for your service and leadership at Avondale.
You've been with us, well, you've been with Sharon and me and our family through good times and bad.
You've given this community music and wisdom.
We really appreciated your humor in all things. Now let us show you.
Uh-oh. When Ben was in intensive care for 2 weeks, he was premature. We obviously went every day, but only certain times a day because we had a toddler at home. But one day, toward the end of his time there, a nurse came up to me and said, "Do you know that your minister has been here every single day?" And I had not known that. John did not tell me that.
Well, several years ago, I was out, it was a Saturday night with Edna Hilton and Virginia Short and Joe Saley, and we were on Marsh Road and heard some kind of noise with the car and pulled over, and it was a flat tire. Well, what are we gonna do? There went Edna and Virginia, just didn't miss a beat and said, "We gotta call John Earl." And I'm like, seriously? We got a flat tire, we're calling John Earl? And they go, "Well, he likes to work on cars." And I'm like, well, John Earl, you were saved by a AAA membership that night. Well, you didn't get that call. But I really enjoyed my time I spent with the Avondale Adventures with John Earl. But you know, every now and then I thought maybe he had lost it, like the night he had us put up a ladder and help get the kids up in the ceiling in the fellowship hall. I didn't know that place was there, the kids didn't, and trying to get all these 20 kids up a ladder that night, and John Earl was just, "Come on, you can do it, you can do it." Some of them were really scared. We didn't know what was up there, but we found out that it was like a balcony. But 3 months later, they were actually running up that ladder. They loved it. I loved it. And for John Earl and Nadja, I hope your retirement is full of whipped cream and Hershey's chocolate syrup.
So I remember my first visit with John along with Bill Stowe, and I remember Nadja's hospitality and her mouth-watering tomato pies.
And my memories of John are more recent when he did my father's funeral, and I remember Nadja, I'll never forget her playing the flute in the band.
This guy remembers when John would dress up as a clown for Avondale Adventures, and he also remembers going on the youth handball lake trip with Nadja. I remember going on youth trips with John and all the laughter that he brought and all the fun he was. And I also remember Nadja's dedication to the handbell choir and going on the ice skating trips with her. We love you, John and Nadja.
I can't believe it's been 30 years, John. I'm thinking of that one night in December, Christmas Eve, when you walked down the aisle in those stilts. All I could think about was, if he falls, we're gonna have to hire a new minister. What are we gonna do? So that's all I gotta say about that. By the way, please turn those stilts into the office before you leave. And you ready?
Ready.
John and Nadja, we love you.
We love you.
And we'll miss you.
We just wanted to come and thank the Earls for everything they've done for Avondale from the time we moved here in 2004 until now. You guys have been the centerpiece of this church, and we want to thank you for everything. We'll miss you.
We'll miss you. Bye. Good luck. We thank you so much, and you'll be truly missed. Can I say bye? We'll miss you. Bye.
Just want to thank John and Nadja for being here as long as they've been. We had some really great experiences with work camps, which John originated, starting with the youth that grew into the adults. We have, for COAP, Christian Outreach Appalachian People, we built over 25 homes, new homes for people in Harlan, Kentucky. The youth, as well as the adults, ultimately did a lot of rehab work. This whole program started with John and started with the youth. I think Avondale's done a lot of very good work, for a lot of people that needed that kind of work, and something that we can be very, very proud of. Nadja was she took on a real challenge for having 2 children and also, I guess, 20 handbell ringers, some of which were able to read music. I know of 2 that could not, and a lot of dedication. Nadja really did a wonderful job as far as teaching us how to ring bells and how to count to 3 or 6 or 16 or whatever was the case. I think it was, we have gained a lot from the John and Nadja's being here, and thank you very much.
John, I've been a member here at Avondale for almost 15 years now, but it's probably in the last couple years when I've been serving on session and working with you on worship that I feel like I've gotten to know you the best, and I've enjoyed all the times that we have spent together. I do have one regret though, and that is that at our last tag retreat, we were working hard on coming up with a new catchphrase or tagline for Avondale, and I thought I had proposed something really thoughtful and meaningful for Avondale, and for some reason you rejected it outright. So I just wanted to ask if here during your last days you would reconsider Make Avondale Great Again. I know you and Nadja are moving on, but I'm staying here and I will be working hard every day to make sure that we make Avondale great again.
Dr. Earl, thank you so much for your insight and for always being understanding and never judgmental. I'm still mad that you stole my lollipop though.
John and Nadja, we were so blessed as a family to be welcomed into Avondale and to have 3.5 wonderful years with you. I know your influence will stay with us forever. Nadja, how refreshing and oddly comforting it is to know that my minister's wife and son have the same special mother-son time together as Covert and I do, addictively watching zombies on Fear the Walking Dead. And John, I'll have forever burned in my memory the image of you in your long red underwear with your back door open, thinking, wow, this is my minister. John, also thank you for the unapologetic, tell it like it is, real person that you always are. We love you both.
One of the moments that will stay with me all of my life, and with Rich too, was when, just before Rich and I were getting married, and we got married up in Michigan, so without our Avondale family, and we were called up to church unexpectedly, and we stood there in front of everyone to receive a blessing, and everyone got up around us and surrounded us and put their hands on us, and you could feel just sort of this heavy but joyful weight of God's blessing through Avondale's palms. And you know, I know there's been many moments in these 30 years that John and Nadja have been a part of and have helped prompt. But it's also been sustaining throughout these 30 years. That they've not only been able to show how we're knitted together, how we belong to each other, but much more importantly, how we belong to God. You've enriched our congregation, you've enriched this place around us, and we're so thankful for all you've done.
Well, John and Nadja, I spent a lot of time thinking about the words that I could say here to just show how thankful we are for the both of you, for what you've meant to this church, to this city, to this community, to my family, and really to me, and there were no words that could do justice, except for maybe these.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
Well Well done.
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 Good and faithful.
Good and faithful.
Good and faithful.
Good and faithful.
Servants.
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 Servants. Servants.
Servants.
Servants. Servants.
Good and faithful servants. These are bloopers.
Well, you make the blooper headline.
What's this thing again? Well
Okay,
done.
well done. Ready?
Well done.
Okay, good and faithful.
Good and faithful
Servants.
servants.
So long, farewell, I'll be the same goodnight. I hate to go and leave this pretty sign. So long, farewell, I'll be the same adieu. Adieu, adieu, to you and you and you.
Any project, you say yes before you think about whether or not it's safe or even accomplishable to do. Whether or not.
Let's start over.
So what are we doing? Is there a specific prompt or?
You got your prompt.
Just say what you're thankful for. Celebratory.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you.
Quitter.
Hello from Indonesia, John and Nadja. Congrats on your retirement. Thanks for everything you've done for me and my family and my friends, and for always being there for me and teaching me to always smile and laugh and how to start a great food fight.